Hi guys and welcome back to Hairdryer Treatment. I'm absolutely buzzing to say I'm joined by Rick again tonight. I always love talking football to Rick, but the last show I thought was great, so I'm really grateful that you've come back on, Rick. Firstly, how are you doing?
Very well indeed, thank you. Yeah, very well. Nice, lovely
Love
weather.
that.
So I'm in a nice time. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, the weather always makes you feel better, doesn't it? Always makes you feel better. Yeah, 100%. So obviously we're going to preview the massive game that's coming up on Sunday against Sevilla. I mean, firstly, did you watch Wolves against Sevilla? I spoke to my dad, obviously, he's a massive Wolves fan, and he openly said the best team went through, and obviously he's rooting for United now in the competition. But did you see it that way? Do you think Sevilla were quite simply the better team?
Yeah, they were the better team by quite a way, I thought. They passed the ball around well. They look a really good footballing team. There's a few people critical. I was seeing quite a lot of people on Twitter being critical of the way Wolves played. And maybe they did go out with a defensive attitude, thinking that they can break on them. Obviously, with the pace of Traore, he played him a little bit too central for my liking. But with the pace of Traore, they was hoping to break, and they did get the penalty through that. You know, with a little bit, and they were unlucky with the VAR man as well. They should have been retaken that penalty. So, you know, it could have worked for them. The first goal so important. It could have worked for them with a little bit of luck, but it didn't. And then after that, they could hardly get a kick at the ball. And what a lot of people don't seem to grasp is even though they were defensive, and they might have set out to be defensive, thinking they can play on the break, and Sevilla had all the ball. When Wolves get the ball, they don't give it back to them deliberately. They do try to keep the ball, but they couldn't keep the ball. You know, Sevilla was so good in the press that they just couldn't string more than 3 or 4, or very rarely string 3 or 4 passes together, Wolves. So, you know, although people are sort of critical of them for being defensive, they do try their best to play a bit of football when they get the ball, but they were outdone by a better team. And then obviously when Sevilla got the ball, they're knocking it about for fun, and Wolves can't take it off them as they're taking it off Wolves when Wolves have got it. So they were comforted. I tweeted out, and I got a lot of stick for it. I said these look a lot better than us. So at least we know what we're up against, and we can plan accordingly. Do you know what I mean? That's how they look to me. Yeah. Really good side. Really good side.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, when I was watching it, they looked sharper. And my dad said just before it, to be fair, I don't know if he was planting the seed early or getting the excuses in, but he said last few games Wolves has looked tired, and I agree with that. I think since the lockdown, I think it's kind of, I know they've got a small squad. Everyone thought that break would have helped them, but obviously players are still training through all that break and time off. And I do think Wolves have genuinely looked tired. They haven't seen themselves. I think they're relying a lot on Traore, like you said. They got that penalty, and if that goes in, it could be a completely different game, because Wolves had obviously then maybe changed to sit in and try and protect that lead a little bit. And yeah, I think that was a massive turning point. Definitely was. But regardless, I said to Dad, it was still a fantastic season for Wolves. I want to say a massive thank you to Ryan for the super chat. It says evening to Soph and Ricky. Hope you're good, Ryan. But yeah, I think Sevilla going through, I said I did not want to play Wolves on a personal level, because my dad being a Wolves fan. I said I do not want to play Wolves. I hate playing against them, because I wouldn't live it down. If Wolves beat us, went on to win the Europa, I would never live that down. So I was like, I want Sevilla to go through and we play Sevilla, but we cannot underestimate them, can we, Rick? You mentioned just they were the better team that night. They know how to win the Europa League. They know how to play in that competition. You said that we hopefully will plan appropriately. People are saying that Sevilla aren't a team who are going to sit and they're going to come at us, and that will work in our favour. Do you see that being the way that this game is going to pan out?
I think there's a good chance they'll have more of the ball than we have. I think they look, I hate saying it, but they look a better footballing team than us. I think they'll string more passes together than we do. But it might suit us, because we can try. I mean, Wolves have just tried it, and they've got Traore. He might be quicker than our players, but he's not as good as our players. You know what I mean?
He's not good technically. Yeah, he's not good technically,
for example. But then we're not as fast. But we can play on the break, and we can hit Marshall with the ball. He can hold the ball up. We can then get out. We'll get out better than Wolves did. You know, by having a striker who can keep hold of the ball, you've got more chance of actually getting your players up the field and getting more involved in the play in their half or in the final third. So I wouldn't say that we won't get any passages of play that are going to be in our favour, where we might look a good team, but I do think they'll have more of the ball than we'll have.
Yeah, I mean, and that scares me a little bit. You've seen, I don't know if you agree with me on this, Rick, but when we try and play out from the back, we do not look comfortable. When teams press us high up the pitch, we do not look comfortable. Wan-Bissaka as a fullback does not like receiving that ball out wide. You can see he's uncomfortable, and that scares me a little bit. But I think that's where we need, where Maguire, for example, needs to be thinking that ball out to the wing, do that a little bit more, and try and bypass that press a little bit. And like you said, trust Martial a bit more. His link-up play is fantastic, and for me, we need to play into his feet a little bit more than we do. We saw it the other day. He didn't get much of the ball, but when he did get it, he was frightening. He was absolutely frightening. The way he holds the ball up, the way he can dribble, and the ball seems to stick to his foot. He's technically fantastic, and I don't think we trust him enough with the ball playing it forward. So I don't know if you agree with me on that, Rick, but I think when we're playing out from the back, it puts me on edge a little bit. We do not look comfortable.
Yeah, at times we don't. I mean, I've seen all the defenders give away slap passes, and particularly with Shaw missing. I'm not going to have a go at Brandon Williams. He's a young lad, but he hasn't looked. He hasn't looked quite the player in the last few games that he was looking when he first got into the team, or when he was getting the odd game. I mean, they're relying on him at the moment, with Shaw being injured for a spell. He was just getting the odd game here and there. He was doing better, I thought. I mean, don't forget he played in the game when we beat City at Old Trafford. He played away at Stamford Bridge when we won there. So he's done a good job on numerous occasions, but just at the minute, I don't think the consistency's there. There could be a little bit of a problem for us there, I think, at left back at the weekend. Yeah.
I think when the ball goes into our fullbacks, I just don't think they look comfortable. And then, especially if we're playing, for example, I don't think Dan James will play, but when we were playing Dan James, I think that was a lot of our problem. We were playing it to him with his back to players. That's not his style of play, and we'd often lose it. And I feel like we need to just bypass that press a little bit, maybe play a bit more direct, or even into the channels. We've got pace going forwards. I mean, how do you expect us to line up? Do you think it'll be the same team? Obviously, you've mentioned Shaw won't play, Williams will be playing there, but do you think Ollie will stick to his guns? We've got to go all out for this, haven't we, Rick?
I think he will. Personally, I'd make a change myself, but I don't think Ollie will. I think he'll think he can go back. I did a little bit of homework today. I've noticed that our goals seem to have dried up recently. I mean, obviously, everybody was loving it when we were, we broke a record, didn't we? We won by 3 in a row 4 times on the bounce. We scored 3 sets of 3 plus a 5 against Bournemouth. You know what I mean? So we were banging goals in. But bit by I looked at it today. Like I say, we've had 7 games since then, and I haven't scored 3 once in the last.
I think it was that Southampton game was a big turning point, wasn't it? They obviously they were the blueprint. They taught teams how to defend against us, and I think since that point, like you mentioned, it's dried up a little bit. Yeah,
it's dried up pretty dramatically, really. Slowly but surely, because we've scored a few 2s. But then, if you look at the last game, for example, Copenhagen. I hope people can grasp this, but really that's a 0-0 draw. I know we've won 1-0, but not in many games you get an extra half hour to get that extra goal. Do you know what I mean? If you look at like the bookmakers odds are for 90 minutes, and after 90 minutes it was a 0-0 draw. All right, we got through in the end, but we didn't score within the 90 minutes against Copenhagen. So the goals have dried up pretty dramatically. So this is going to be, I think he'll stick with the same front 3. And I think it'd be a mistake. I think why not change it up? We're not scoring enough goals at the minute. I think the likelihood is that we'll do well to if we score more than 1, it'll be a right bonus. And I think we could score 1 so long as Martial plays. I think we'll score 1 anyway. I think there's a great chance we'll score 1.
Just got to get the ball to him. That's what it is. We've just got to get him in the game.
I wouldn't mind him changing it up. But see, when Juan Mata comes on, he links up great with Martial. He has done it 2 games in a row now. Martial came on as a sub. I know it was only Lask, but look, at the end of the day, we weren't beating him. Martial comes on, Mata feeds him in for a goal, and then it's the opposite way round against Copenhagen. Against Copenhagen, it's Mata who's on the bench. It was Martial who was on the bench against us. So Mata comes on, and again he puts Martial in. Martial should have scored. The keeper saved it. Comes back to Juan Mata, he feeds it straight back to Martial again. I have people telling me Mata slows the game down. They've got it completely the wrong way around. Mata speeds the game up. The ball comes to it, an instant touch, an instant pass, and Martial got dragged down for the penalty. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that Mata could play the full game, but at the same time, people often say, people often say start with your stronger team, try and get in front rather than bringing players on to try and change it. So we're bringing these players on to try and change it. Why not start? If Mata only lasts an hour, he might do enough damage, I think, to get us a goal. A lot of people might think, "Wow, 1 goal," but we might not score 1 goal in this game. It's going to be an hard game to get a goal or 2 in. Do you know what I mean? So I think,
yeah, but you see it so often. If a striker comes on and scores the winner, a lot of the time they start the next game, don't they? And you've just mentioned Mata came on and was involved in the goal, so why not give him a start? I think if you're saying Mata starts, then who do you drop out of that team? We were talking off camera, just saying out the front three. Rashford has been the poorest, and I think Rashford again was a bit dodgy the other night. And everyone knows I love Rashford, but where it's the injury still lingering on what it is, I'm sure he'll get back to his best, but he just isn't cutting it at the moment. So who would you say loses their place then if Mata comes in?
It's a tricky one, that, because I think as much as Mata's left-footed, if you are going to play him as part of a front three, they generally play him more to the right, don't they? And he's good at coming in with his left foot and finding passes, coming in from the flank. He's on his left foot then, isn't he? So I think he suits the right flank better. So merely for that reason, possibly for Greenwood, merely for that reason that he suits it better. But I'm not saying that Greenwood couldn't play on the left, though, either. We haven't seen that yet, or I can't remember seeing that yet. He always seems to start on the right, doesn't he? But I don't see why he couldn't switch to the left as well. But I would certainly be considering giving Juan Mata a start. I think he could make a difference.
I think the thing is with Mata, he's just such an intelligent player. He picks up little pockets of space, doesn't he? And I know he's not the quickest, but you say this, like, there's certain players who are 1 yard ahead in the head, and I think Mata is one of these players. He's such a clever player. I don't think, other than Berbatov, I don't think I've seen another player with a touch like what Mata has got. His control is immense, and I've never seen a player other than, like I said, Berbatov who's got that. So I love Juan Mata, and like I've mentioned off camera, I feel like he's been forced out wide far too often. I love to see him in that 10 role because I think he's just so effective in there, and we haven't given him enough chances in that role for me. So, Greenwood, I love to bits, and I think first half, I thought he was probably one of our standout players. Second half, he just seemed to disappear. You didn't really see much of Greenwood, and I was talking to my dad the other day about Greenwood, saying that as obviously a neutral, what is your thoughts on him? And he said that he disappears a bit too often for him. He thinks technically he's fantastic, but he's not in the game for long enough. So you mentioned bringing players on. Maybe Greenwood's the one that you bring on just to have a shorter spell on the pitch. We've seen in previous games he's come on and he's transformed the game. He's come on and got a goal. And a lot of time, if we do need a goal, it's Greenwood who often pops up, to be fair, because you can see he's a natural goal scorer. So I think with Sevilla, I do think they're the kind of team who may have a lot of the ball, and it's about us being patient and, like you say, making the most of the counter-attacks. And for that reason, because of the counter-attack, I think we'll go with pace. And that's why I don't think Mata will start. But I do think, again, it's that thing where we're trying to stick with players, and it obviously isn't working. Why not try and mix it up a little bit? But yeah, I thought Mata was superb the other day. He transformed the game, definitely. But if we're judging it on being a counter-attacking game, what would you say your score prediction is for this one? I think it's going to be a tight game. Like I say, Sevilla, we can't be complacent going into this one. They're a quality team. They've got some quality players. And they're hard to beat. They're proven. I think they've gone on an unbeaten run themselves, haven't they, for a large amount of time. So they're going to be quite disciplined at the back, and it's about us being creative, thinking outside the box, and not being predictable, which we have seen us become. So yeah, realistically, how do you see this one finishing, Rick?
It's going to be really tight. I mean, I'm terrible at predicting football results, and I often say when I'm on the show on the United stand that I don't like. No, it's an impossible job. I mean, you want me to have a stab at it, I'll have a stab at it. I'd say it's going to be a 1-1 draw. That's what I'd say. Now, whether that'll stay 1-1 throughout the extra time and go to pens, I wouldn't like to say. In an extra time, they get tired. Whichever team tires most might lose it. But I'll go with that prediction for 90 minutes, and it'll be a 1-1 draw, and it'll go to extra time.
So Doug has literally said exactly the same as you said. Manchester United 2-1. It'll be 1-1 in normal time. Obviously, United then going on to get the winner. A few people predicting penalties. We've got 2-1 United here. 3-1 from Ryan. A lot more positive. Paul says that Mata is definitely still a bench player. We've got that United family in the chat. Hello to you. 5-time winners, 21 games unbeaten. There you go. I knew they'd gone on a run, 21 games unbeaten. So they're going to be flying into this with confidence. They're going to see that we haven't been playing too well. We had to go into extra time against Copenhagen. That wasn't ideal as well. So definitely, I think Sevilla are going to be going into this feeling positive. And I think it's about us really. I like to see us start again quickly. I like to see us start quickly, get on the front foot. And I don't think we've done that enough, to be honest with you. It's 2 games until a trophy. I'm hoping we can conjure up the energy from somewhere and start quickly in this one. But it's going to be an interesting one. You've said that you think Martial will score. I'm going to say a 2-1 United win. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think Martial, I agree with you, Martial will score. And I'm going to say this just to rub it in. I think Bruno's going to score another penalty. It just seems to be going that way every single time. And I loved your tweet the other day saying you just can't buy a good penalty taker. I thought that was top notch. I love that tweet, Rick. Right on time as well.
I put that out just after Jimenez had missed one, didn't I?
I know. It made me laugh.
I wasn't trying to have a dig at Wolves in any way, shape or form. I just thought it was funny, that was all.
Yeah, it was funny. It made me laugh. The timing of it was perfect. I was like, go on. Bruno Fernandes, as I was calling him the other night. But yeah, I can see us getting another penalty. But you know what? That was a soft penalty the other day. You have to be honest. That was a soft penalty the other day. But people keep complaining, but when you look at the fouls that we've had for the penalties, they've been penalties. Like, you've got to get into the positions, you've got to earn them at the end of the day, haven't you? So I don't get the saltiness. In fact, I like it. I like the saltiness. It makes me laugh.
We've got VAR these days, haven't we? So, you know what I mean? They all get checked. So I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did we? I was thinking about it the other day. Have we had 23 pens this season? Is it 23 now? It's some sort of record, isn't it?
I'm sure Doug will tell us. Doug, in the chat, if you could let us know how many penalties we've had, Statman. But yeah, it's got to be 23. It's got to be about 20.
I think it's 23 in all competitions. And obviously, Rashford was taking them. If you think back to early season, Pogba took one against Wolves. I remember Greenwood taking one against Tranmere. So
24.
24. So Marshall taking a couple. I remember him scoring one in the UEFA Cup. He missed one at Norwich. So they were all shared about, really. Early doors, and then obviously Bruno's come in and started taking them. But what crossed my mind, and you never know if it's going to be similar, but if we can get this amount of penalties next season, Bruno might score 35 goals or something. You know what I mean?
From midfield, yeah.
He could do. But
what I did like what Bruno did, though, like I said, I didn't think he played well the other day, but I was thinking, don't do the jump. Do not do the jump. That keeper had an absolute world of a performance. I was thinking, do not do the jump, and he didn't, and I was grateful for that. Because I think if he did, he'd have missed. I think the keeper would have saved it. We lost our fear factor, and now look at our attack is feared, and teams making mistakes against us, and we're getting the pen. Yeah, I agree with that. It's about us putting the team under pressure. Like I say, you have to be in the box. You have to be in those positions to win the penalties. I don't really get the hype behind it. At the end of the day, they are penalties. VAR obviously states they are as well. Axe says Bruno looks knackered lately. Would you agree with that? I think he does. Obviously, played a lot of games before he came to United. He's come to United. He does look a bit leggy lately. I think he had cramp right at the end of the game the other day. You saw him kind of collapse. Yeah, he does look shattered, but he'll still start, won't he, Rick? Of course he will.
He'll start for certain, yeah. There's a few that look tired, I think, at a minute. There's a few players. Yeah,
we look like we're ready for that break, don't we? We definitely do. I think Wan-Bissaka last few games has looked vulnerable. I think he's looked absolutely exhausted, to be honest with you. Maguire, I was baffled the fact that Maguire played that second leg against Lax, to be honest with you. I was thinking, why are we risking this here? And we're lucky, really, that nothing came of that, because imagine if he picks up an injury in that game. I didn't understand that. It baffled me. But he's played
every match, Maguire, haven't he? I don't know why he played
every minute. Yeah. I think it must be a case of he's the skipper and he's trying to implement some consistency throughout. So obviously, when he's got younger players coming in, it's maybe that role model kind of that leadership. Maybe that's what he's going for. But I thought that was a bit of a needless risk, to be honest with you, playing in that one. I'm just grateful it didn't come back to bite us, to be honest. But obviously, it's nice to be talking about football because we've got obviously a massive game coming up. But you see it all over Twitter at the minute, transfer rumours. We're linked to every man and his dog like we always are. A lot of people are getting frustrated by it. I mean, I haven't got a chance to speak to you personally about it, but I'll start. Sancho, where do we stand on that? Do you think that's deal is done? I'll be honest, when Dortmund put that picture up of him saying you love to see, or whatever it was, Sancho smiling, I was thinking, why would they play games with their own fans? Why would you put that out, Joe? And that straight away made me think, this ain't happening. This isn't happening. I've been positive throughout, but that was a turning point for me. I thought, why would you put that out? I mean, what's your take on it?
First of all, I only watched him. I can't remember if I said this to you once before, but I only watched him closely for the first time. Once we were linked with him and the Bundesliga had restarted, and I was proper impressed with him. So I was hoping that we would sign him. And then what's been going on this last week or two? About 10 days ago, everybody was adamant it was virtually done, and it was like a case of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and then suddenly over the space of the last 3 or 4 days, it's now looking less and less likely. So you don't know what to believe, do you, Soph? I don't know what to believe. I'd like us to sign him at the minute. I fear we're not going to sign him. So I don't know what's going to happen next.
I was going to touch on this super chat. Thank you so much, Taryn Rex. Says, unpopular opinion, Mata at the 10, Greenwood at the left, Bruno on the bench with Rashford. Thoughts on that? See, if I play Mata, I would love him to feature in the 10. I do think Bruno's looked tired, but it's a semi-final. Bruno, we know how important he is to us. He makes us tick. And even though I do think he's tired, and I think Mata would be great in the 10, I still think Bruno will start. But yeah, if anyone's going to replace that 10, I would choose Mata.
When you were talking before about us trying to play on the break and using the pace, don't forget you do need somebody who's going to play a good pass to whichever player is going to play.
Of course.
On the break. Do you know what I mean?
And how many stray passes have we seen from Bruno in the last few games? He's trying it.
Passes, yeah. So if Mata was to play in place, because Greenwood's pretty quick as well, but if he was to play in place of either Greenwood or Rashford, then he would be the man who's trying to feed Martial and Rashford, or Martial and Greenwood, whichever way round it is.
Yeah.
So you don't need to play like what? I mean, I know it didn't work for him in the end. When I say it didn't work for him, it's not Traore's fault that Jimenez missed the penalty, is it? So although it didn't work for him the other night, you know, their pacey man was Traore. We don't have to have all pacey players in order to play on the break. Just one or two. Just one or two.
I think Traore is the perfect example. He can run and it's rapid, but on the ball, his quality isn't the best. Like you see it so often, him overrunning it or misplaced passes. He's not the best on the ball. His quality, don't get me wrong, at beating his man, but quite often you'll see him beat his man. He'll stop and he'll try and beat him again. He's so frustrating to watch. But I mean, his speed is just ridiculous. You get too close to him, he'll roll you because he's strong. You stand off him and it's just knock and run. How do you defend against that? Do you know? And but yeah, you're right. You need technical players in and around that.
They're playing with one man who's particularly rapid, and he's their main outlet. So we don't need more than two. We don't need more than two. No. There's no reason why Mata couldn't take the place. And if Mata can't last the pace, at the end of the day, you know, them players are there to come on then, aren't they? So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I like what he did there. Reese, thank you for the super chat. He says Bruno in the 10, Greenwood on the left, and Lingard on the right. So Reese is saying maybe pop Lingard in there. I mean, as rumours lately that Lingard is on his way out to United. Do you believe those rumours, Rick?
Again, we're not. You know, I wish I was a fly on the wall and could see what was happening within the club.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah,
we all do.
Like Sancho, so I don't know what to believe, but I do think it'd be better for Jesse if he left. I don't think he's going to get much game time at all if he stays. And as far as I'm concerned, he's. A lot of people, you hear people saying such and such a player is blocking the route for youngsters to get a game. I mean, I just like good players getting on the field. And every time Jesse gets on the field, I wish it, because he's generally on the bench along with Juan Mata. So I'm not even thinking about younger players. When Jesse gets on the pitch and Juan Mata's left on the bench, I don't like that. He's an absolute top quality player who should be getting more game time. So you don't want to hold others back, isn't it? That's what you don't want to hold others back. And at one point, it was Lingard holding Greenwood back, for example, on that right side. And obviously Lingard's dropped back. Greenwood's taken over him. And that's the way that it should be. It's funny Doug's just said this because Rick, what was I saying to you off camera? Talking about Sancho, and I said I hope we do not end up with Ousmane Dembele. That's a player that I've never been a fan of. And Doug said there, Sophie saw he's been lined up as an alternative. Remember Barcelona, Liverpool fluffed the chance to make it 4-0. Great show. I will never forgive Dembele for missing that sitter. Messi, I think even rounded the keeper, passed it sideways to him, and I don't even know what he was doing, but absolute sitter. Yeah, it could have been so different. Like that whole scenario where obviously Liverpool had that corner, and we know what happened after that. That could have been so different if Dembele put that chance away, and I'll never forget him missing that chance. I can never forgive it. But no, I think with Dembele, it's a case where in terms of training, he turns up late. There seems to be an attitude issue with him there. He's been injured a lot as well for a young player. I think that's concerning. If he'd have hit the ground running at Barcelona, I'd have thought differently. I'd think, you know what, yeah, fair enough. But he hasn't done a lot at Barcelona. There's no doubt about his talent, but it seems to be there's an issue with his attitude. And I don't think we need that at United. So I wouldn't want him. But I'm like you with Sancho. I won't believe anything until I see a player holding the shirt up, and I'm trying my hardest not to get sucked in. But I was just a bit baffled by the fact that it was almost nailed on, confirmed. The player really wants to come. It's fine details with it, obviously the fee and whatnot.
And then next thing you know, oh no, Dortmund come out saying he's staying. They post a picture of him smiling in a Dortmund shirt, saying you love to see it. And I'm thinking, if you're a Dortmund fan and now you sell that player, you're going to be absolutely fuming. You're going to be absolutely fuming. Why would the club play with their own fans like that? And that made me think, you know what, this deal isn't happening. And obviously I don't know, so don't take what I'm saying as gospel. Rick doesn't know. We're going on hearsay. But it just doesn't look positive at the minute. And I'm hoping we're not going to dilly-dally too long on this because we know we need to strengthen. And that leads on to my next one, Rick. Realistically, I mean, Sancho aside, who do you see us getting in this summer? Obviously, we've been linked, like I say, with every man and his dog. Grealish we've been linked with. Can you see us getting anyone else in? Is there anybody you think is a realistic option for us?
I wouldn't like to name names, but for the simple reason of what we've just spoken about. We seem to be nailed on to sign Sancho, which now maybe looks like it isn't going to happen. So if you're going to have stab at names that you've read in the paper or on the internet as you read it these days, you're just guessing and you're hoping that what they've said's right, and that 90% of these rumours are wrong, aren't they? So
of course they are, because it sells papers. So you said Manchester United, to put that in the title, everyone's interested, isn't it?
I watched Grealish the other week when he played against Arsenal. I thought he looked great. Grealish, I wouldn't be against us signing Grealish, but do we actually need a player playing in that position? I like to think of the positions that where we're short. I think unless we're going to keep Smalling, which I don't think, then I think we're desperate for a centre-back. That's what I'd be looking for. I'd be happy if we kept Smalling, by the way, but that's another story. I don't think they will keep Smalling. But if they're not going to keep him, we need a centre-back because we haven't got enough cover. Like you've just said, Maguire's playing every game. We need somebody else who can take a bit of the weight.
And that's why we need to get rid of some. We mentioned, obviously, we have got centre-backs, but we've not got centre-backs to the standard that we need. We've got Phil Jones, for example. He's been there 9 years now. Surely that has to come to a halt at some point. I'm like you. I said I would rather than sign another centre-back, bring Chris Smalling back. I think he's earned the right to fight and try and get into that starting 11. I do think he has. And when we let him go, I thought, if it was me, Phil Jones, I'd want going and keeping Chris Smalling, because I think Chris Smalling is a decent centre-back. I really do. But obviously, we mentioned on the last show that teams obviously don't want Phil Jones. It's about teams that are coming in for players. Smalling needed to play.
It's got to tell you something when clubs like Roma wanted. I mean, Roma's not a small club, and they were, they had. I know they didn't get there, but they had designs on Champions League football, and they were in the hunt for a long time during the season. And also, we've just said we don't know if these are just rumours, but there's rumours that Juventus might be interested in Smalling if he doesn't end up at Roma. He gets linked with teams. We're not talking about tuppence halfpenny teams. You know what I mean? So I think he should have a rethink about Chris Smalling. But anyway, he probably won't. If he doesn't, we need another centre back.
I think we'll be thinking of the money, to be honest. Like you say, big teams coming in for him. I think they'll be thinking of the cash they can get for him rather than actually the fact that we need us. And it shows again that we're a business at the end of the day, doesn't it? But yeah, I think Smalling, that move to Roma was good for him. I think he's had obviously a good time out there in Italy, and I'd love to see him going back. But Grealish is one for me where I think he's a good player. But I said the exact same on my chat that you've just said, that Mata's been forced out wide. I wouldn't want us to sign Grealish and then have to play him out of position. What's the point in doing that and just accommodating players, And I feel like that's what we'll do with him. If he's willing to come and be a rotation player and obviously be that quality off the bench, then maybe yes. But he's the main guy at Aston Villa, and I think that's a tough one, isn't it? Is he going to be willing to do that? Reese, thank you for the super chat. It says Federico Chiesa is a good shout should Sancho fall through. Don't know much about him, to be honest with you. I'm hoping Sancho doesn't fall through, by the way. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Try and stay positive on that one, but don't believe anything. Until he's holding that shirt up, do not believe anything. Smalling cannot play out from the back. Good defender, but doesn't fit Ollie Ball. What's your take on that? Do you think Smalling can't play out from the back? I think a lot of people see that clip. See that clip of him passing it out into the stand, and everyone reuses that clip over and over again, don't they?
You see a few clips on Twitter. If people don't like a certain person, they dig something out and they think it's funny and they put it on Twitter. And you see the same ones. Or there's one about him taking a shot. I can't remember if it's at a set of goals or whether it's something on the wall. You see him in training. I've seen it loads of times. He's having a shot at this thing and he skews it and it goes about 30 yards wide.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Whatever he's shooting at. Then there's the one where he tries to pass it out to the wing and it goes into the stand. I've seen Harry Maguire do equally bad passes. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to just go look at Harry. There's no point comparing one player to another. I saw Harry Maguire against Leicester just before the season ended, where he trod on the ball on the edge of the 18-yard box and he squirted out behind himself. And luckily, Matic was there. If Matic wasn't there, that Jesus, is it not Jesus? What's the player who used to play for City and he plays for them? Is it? But anyway. The Leicester, Iheanacho. He'd have been through on the 18-yard box. He would have been through on goal if Matic wouldn't have just been there. And Maguire didn't know Matic was there. It just happened, and it happens, you know. So you could.
It's like when he got megged against Southampton as well. That led to a goal as well.
You can pick little things. Anybody. I'm sure you could find something of Lionel Messi doing something ridiculous and then keep showing it time and time again. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. It's just agendas, isn't it? Yeah, it's because Smalling isn't a glamorous name. Smalling isn't a glamorous name. It's like, it's even with Matic, like, people get like caught up on stuff that's happened in the past or certain situations. Like I'm saying about Ousmane Dembele, to be fair, I'm probably doing exactly the same thing with him. He might be a worldie of a player, but I'm focusing on that miss. But no, I think with Smalling, I think fans are fickle at the end of the day and they forget what he was like. I mean, when we called him Mike Smalling under Van Gaal, he was instrumental, he was quality that season. And I think that people have got short memory. Like I say, they think of that clip that I see on Twitter and they think, oh, he's a rubbish player. He's not a rubbish player, like you say. You don't walk into a Roma team, and that's exactly what he's done. Maguire has played 5,000 minutes this season, Rick. 5,000 minutes, according to Doug. That's a lot of minutes. And you know what? Maguire, I don't know if you rate him. Obviously, we know Saeed rates him. Harry Beckenberry likes to call him. I think he's improved us at the back, but I still get concerned about his lack of pace. And I don't know if you feel the same as me on that respect, but I think far too often he gets caught out, and he's a bit lucky, like you said. Matic has covered, Lindelof has covered him a few times. It scares me, his lack of pace at the back. I think it's demanding in the area. It's good. With the ball at his feet, you say, yeah, he's decent. I like how he tries to break the lines, and I think he should do that a little bit more, be a bit more positive on the ball rather than passing it sideways. But his pace, I don't know, it scares me. It scares me, especially when when he plays against a quick striker. We've seen it happen. They can just run past him. I don't know. I never feel 100% confident in Maguire. And I know that sounds bad. I do think he's improved us, but I wouldn't say I 100% trust him.
I think he's had a decent season for us. I just don't think he's an £80 million centre back. The difference,
of course, he's not yet.
You know, I think the fan, like we've just been speaking about transfers. Now the fans get carried away a bit too much with signing new players when the players that you've got aren't that much different to the players that you sign. I don't think is that. Look, I think we got £2 million for Smalling for a season's loan, didn't we? And we've signed Maguire for 80 million. I'd sooner have kept the £80 million and then over the course of that season or the next season, somebody might come through the ranks. You might see a bargain in one of the lower leagues where you've got a lad who might make it who's worth 10 million quid to you or something like that. I just think the money in football, it could be used more sensibly. I'm not saying he hasn't done fine. And there'll probably be people saying, yeah, but we've let 15 goals in less. We've let 15 goals in less because the team's better, not just because of the defence. The team's a bit better this season. You know what I mean? He's improved us. There's no denying that. He's improved us at the back. He's that leadership. Improved us, but I don't think there's 80 million quid's worth of difference. I really don't. Yeah,
Nicole made a good point, and I forgot to bring this up just about Phil Jones. Did you see that Twitter? Obviously, the official Twitter account said something like "name a better player than Phil Jones," and it didn't allow people to reply to it. Obviously, it's a bit of a joke, but that's wrong, isn't it? To label a player, of course, Phil Jones. It's comedic at times. Don't get me wrong; he's a walking meme, isn't he? It's just entertaining for the wrong reasons as a footballer sometimes. But I still don't agree with that kind of treatment. Because if the player sees that, like, he's still a human being at the end of the day, isn't he? And I thought that was absolutely shocking. I know they apologised to it afterwards. I believe Manchester United were going to try and sue them for that comment as well. But I thought it was disgusting, to be honest with you. I mean, that's the way it's seen, though. They're seen as footballers and not human beings, and people don't realise the effect that comments like that can have on a player. Do you know? And I felt for him after that, to be honest with you. I mean, I've made enough comments about Phil Jones, and many other fans have, but it's all said in good jest. But that I felt was, I mean, on a platform like that, you just can't talk like that about players, can you?
Not at all. There's no
shocking
at all. You can give your opinion of a player if you don't think a player's good enough, but I don't think you should be doing things like that. No,
I think it's shocking, but Champions League tonight. We've already both said that we're going to go off and obviously watch Barca against Bayern. Should be a fantastic game. I mean, yeah, I can't wait for it. I'm expecting it to be a close one, to be honest with you. I mean, who do you think's going to nick this one, though? Who do you reckon's got the edge?
I've got a fancy Bayern. I really have. They look
Me
so good when I watch them. Really do. But obviously, with the stars that Barca have got, they're capable of getting a goal or two against anybody. So you like you just said, it could be an absolute cracker. But I would plunk for Bayern.
I'm hoping for some goals, to be fair to you. George Carlson Davis is the best left back in the world. Alphonso Davies, I think he's an incredible talent. And I think he's going to get better and better. I think he's an awesome signing for them. I can't believe we let him slip for our fingers, to be honest with you. I'm still gutted about that. But I think he's a quality player, yeah. And best left back in the world already at the ages. That just tells you everything you need to know. And like I say, he's going to get better playing with world-class players as well. Be an interesting one tonight, definitely. Barca, they aren't the Barca of old, are they? I mean, Messi obviously is quality, but I think Barcelona and Real Madrid have both had disappointing seasons. I think they're in that transitional phase where they're trying to replace some of the old legs that they've got in there now. But yeah, Bayern Munich, for me, there's a player for Bayern Munich, and I think he's so underrated, and that is Lewandowski. I think he's an absolutely awesome striker. Even not the best striker in the world, that's genuinely how much I rate him. I think he's quality. And it's mad to think he could have been at Blackburn, Rick.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
He could have been at Blackburn. Yeah, before we had that whole that smog cloud, whatever it was that was going on. The ash cloud that went on. He could have gone to Blackburn. How crazy is that? Imagine Lewandowski at Blackburn. Amazing. But he ended up Bayern Munich, and now look what happened. So yeah, I think he's quality.
Phenomenal amount of goals, doesn't he? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just quality. It's absolutely quality. I think he's the focal point, isn't he? You can trust him. Like I mentioned about Martial earlier, the trusting with the ball. If the ball goes into the box, guarantees he's going to win something. It's just quality, absolutely quality. And like I said, I think he's underrated, to be honest with you. In terms of world football, he doesn't get mentioned that much as one of the best, but I think he's probably the best forward in the world, in my opinion. He's that good. But yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think I'm going to go 2-1 to Bayern Munich. I think it's going to be a close game. I would expect Lewandowski to score. I'm going to say Messi will score for Barcelona. But I think Bayern will just tip it. And to be honest with you, I'm going to ask you who you fancy to win the Champions League as my next question. Bayern have to be up there for me.
Bayern have got to be right up there, but if anybody can upset the apple cart, I'm thinking about City.
Yeah,
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong with that, but I do fancy City to get to the final at the moment. So if it's a City and Bayern final, it'll be a cracking final. There's two ways about it, and once you're in the final, it's anybody's guess, isn't it? Really, you know what I mean?
To be honest, I said at the start of this season with the whole Pep at City, I said I would not be surprised if he does not prioritise Champions League this season. I said that at the time. I said I think, of course, he'd like to win the league, and of course they're gutted that they haven't won the league. But I still think in the back of their minds, the Champions League is what they've really fancied this season. And I, like you mentioned, I think they're a force in the competition. I'd say Lyon is a nice draw for them, but they can't be underestimated as well. But I think City, they've got the bit between the teeth after missing out on the Premier League. You're right, I think they're standing with a good shout, and I think if it's a Bayern Munich versus City final, that's going to be a really interesting game. Dugout says volcanic ash cloud stopping Lewandowski to go to Blackburn. There you go, confirmed it. Amazing. I was that absolutely phenomenal. If that happened, I just can't imagine him in a Blackburn shirt. It just seems really unnatural, doesn't it? But yeah, so you said City, you reckon can win it, and Bayern?
I'm not saying City will win it. I fancy Bayern to win it, but I think City could easily run and close.
Final.
I mean, City haven't been as consistent in the league as they have been over the last couple of seasons. But when they're on their day, they're still as good as they were when they were getting 100 points. So so they can beat anybody on the day.
Form is temporary, class is permanent, isn't it? They've got quality players at City, and let's see if they can step it up now. And obviously, what they're fighting for this season. But Reece said Bayern or Leipzig to win it. I want to touch on Leipzig before we go. Obviously, yesterday. Fantastic performance against Atletico. Upamecano in particular, I think, stood out. I thought he looked quality. Leipzig, what a season it's been for them. And obviously, bear in mind they haven't got Werner in their team anymore as well, who bagged a lot of goals for them. Yep. I just love the whole profile of the club, the way that they play football. They're fearless, playing out from the back. The creative Angelino from City in left back, I think he's had a great season with them as well. I mean, Leipzig, could you see them maybe getting up there towards the final? I don't think this season, but I definitely think they're a team on the up.
They are a team on the up. I mean, it's not impossible for them to. It's not impossible for them to go and win it. I don't fancy them to go and win it. But once you get to this,
I would love them to, though. I would love them to, like from a neutral.
Once you get this far, they're in the semi-final now, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? You can't write anybody off. You can't write anybody off. But I wouldn't.
And they're playing against PSG as well, who got lucky really the other night. Neymar, I think he had a bit of a masterclass, didn't he? Missed a few sitters, but then I think he contributed going forwards. But PSG are one of them teams, if they turn up, they're brilliant. If they don't turn up, they're awful. There's no in between with them. And I think that could be an interesting one. Reese, thank you for the super chat. He says he's predicting their Bayern versus PSG final and then Bayern to go and win 3-0. If that is the final, I would expect Bayern to come out winners definitely from that as well. But Rick, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much again for coming on. I really appreciate it. Enjoy it always. I could talk to you forever about football, but obviously we have to try and limit it because we've got to go and watch some Champions League football now. So hopefully it'll be a good game. Hopefully we get the win as well on Sunday. If you could just let people know where they can find you on social media as well.
Rick the Red UK on Twitter.
Definitely go and follow him. I mean, I mentioned this tweet about the penalty the other day, cracked me up, but he's very dry sense of humour, Rick, and every now and again he comes out with an absolute perler. Definitely go and follow him. Even if it's just for his little pre-match videos that have become routine for me, definitely now, standing in front of the goals, talking about football, talking about United's lineup. I love it. Every time I watch it now, I have to. It's become like, it's a good omen. So hopefully that carries on through now to the final.
On me now, I'll have to keep that going more.
You've got, honestly, tradition now. You've got to do that. There's so many people who just look forward to that before the game. It used to be me trying to refresh United's Twitter just to see the lineup. Now it's me refreshing Rick's page to try and see this video. But no, Rick, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Thank you to everyone in the chat. If you are new, please hit a like, hit subscribe. Go and follow Rick as well because, like I say, he's fantastic. Fingers crossed United get that win. Have a lovely rest of Friday, rest of your weekend. Keep smiling, and we'll speak to you soon.
Good night.